Well, hello, welcome back to A Course in Miracles, to the workbook for students, and specifically to lesson 198, where we're going to revisit an old favorite of this thought system. Yeah, an old favorite, and that is forgiveness. That is the practice of forgiveness. And as I've mentioned here on these videos, and well, as any spiritual teacher, I mean, really, any spiritual teacher would mention, we say the same things over and over and over again for a lot of different reasons and a lot of different ways. But chief among those is the fact that the thought system of the ego, our blind adherence to it, is so entrenched, it's so conditioned, and it's so thick that we need repeat messaging. We need to take the medicine, so to speak, in many different forms. Form doesn't actually matter, as we know, but we need to have things presented to us in multiple different ways in order to get it. Because as teachers, we don't know, really, when the message is really going to land with somebody. Now, the Holy Spirit knows when the message is going to land with us because the script has already been written, which is a whole nother subject that we'll talk about in subsequent videos in great detail, great detail at length. So when we show up in the world, demonstrating our own learning to people by teaching, and you teach by demonstrating, whether you hold yourself out as a teacher or not is completely immaterial, makes no difference. When we show up, we don't know when our message is going to land. Any given time, for example, that I turn on this computer, that I turn on this camera and this microphone and deliver a message, anytime I do that, I don't know who's going to be watching on any given day. This is one of the beautiful things about the internet and YouTube, is that people can go and peruse this content later at leisure. So my task is simply to show up as love and deliver the message, because I don't know who needs to hear this today and who's going to hear this today. And I don't know, because I'm recording this, who's going to need to hear this 6 months from now, or 6 years, or 6 decades from now. I don't know that. Therefore, I am going to deliver the message regardless. Now, the thought system of the ego is, of course, so entrenched that we need repetition. And our whole society, our ego-based society, it doesn't matter where you live in the world, runs at warp speed, and people crave the new. We're conditioned to crave the new. We're taught, really, to crave newness and new sensations and the next great thing, the next big thing, the next hot, sexy lover, the next hot, sexy body, the next hot, sexy picture to come across Instagram for us, for our viewing pleasure. We're taught to crave new, and we're taught, and all of the supports are there for us to stay shallow, keep it small, keep it safe in quotation marks. The ego, being fear itself, doesn't have any idea what true safety is. It has no clue. Yet here we are, identifying with it and blindly throwing our entire thought system behind it, our entire being. And why? Well, We don't know any better until we learn differently. So enter your own spiritual practice. So we're going to revisit the idea of forgiveness here today in the workbook in lesson 198. Now, lesson 198 reads, "Only my condemnation injures me." That's the lesson for today. Only my condemnation injures me. So, yeah, only my condemnation injures me. Only your condemnation injures you. So unpack this. Yes, let's do this. What does this mean? This means that injury is impossible. Jesus states this right at the beginning of the commentary for lesson 198. In truth, injury is impossible. Why is this? Well, as we'll see in the next lesson, and I know that you already know, you're not a body. The messenger is not a body. The dude delivering this message is not a body, and neither are you. Injury is, in fact, impossible. However, human beings believe that injury is not only possible, but also certain. Yes, certain. And putting one's faith, one's trust, one's heart into the ego, believing that injury is possible, boom, make it so. It becomes possible for you. You believe that you can be injured. You believe that you can be struck down. You believe that you can be run over by a car. You believe that you can be killed. You believe that you can be harmed. You also believe that you can harm, that you can do harm physically to anything that lives, that you can do harm verbally and in your thoughts to anything that lives. And believing this, your supposed reality makes this so for you. It attests to what you choose to see. Understand that you can choose to see differently. Illusion simply fosters illusion. It begets illusion, so to speak, so that believing in your own separation from your brothers and sisters, from all that lives, you believe that cut off and separate, you can and sometimes must harm them in order to preserve what you see as yourself. Understand that this is not so. If you didn't feel that on some level, our hope is that you feel that right now. It is, we hope that you feel this right now, currently, that on some level, what you've been taught by your peers, what you've been taught by your parents, by your school teachers, by the media, yes, by society at large, we hope that you can feel a grain or more than a grain of untruth in this. Illusion begets illusion in the world. If you lash out at someone, they lash out back at you. Illusion begets illusion, except one. Okay, except one, and that is forgiveness. Now, why do we consider forgiveness to be an illusion? It is one. It is one. In truth, there is nothing to forgive. Remember that in truth, there is no separation of any kind. You have never harmed your brother. Your brother has never harmed you. There is no separation. Therefore, there's nothing to forgive. That is in ultimate truth, truth with a capital T, here in relative truth, to borrow the concept of absolute and relative truth from Eastern philosophy. It's very useful here, isn't it? Here in the world, in relative truth, where human beings run amok, believing that they're cut off, that they're separate, estranged from one another and isolated. Here we need the illusion that leads out. Enter forgiveness. So forgiveness is an illusion. However, it's different than the others. It is the only illusion that leads us to the truth. It points the way, as any teacher points the way to the truth. You understand. Whether you choose to deny this or not, you are responsible for walking this path. No one else is going to do it for you, and be glad of that. Be glad of that. Forgiveness is the one illusion that leads to pure perception, that prepares the groundwork, so to speak, for God to take the final step himself, for you to simply be reunited with the Creator. Not just your Creator, but everyone else's Creator as well. Capital C. You know? Forgiveness is the practice. It is the way that illuminates the path for us. It is the way we bring illusions to the truth. This is how it happens. Very important point that in forgiving, you forgive yourself. There is no separation of any kind. Salvation. This course is quite simple. It's simply up to you to allow this simplicity, really. This is perhaps the day that you gain a different understanding about allowing an acceptance. Spiritual practice is allowing what is simply to be. What is, God is. Here in the world, when you forgive a brother or sister for what has never, in fact, transpired, never happened, you, at the same time, forgive yourself. Forgiveness is a miracle. By offering a miracle, you receive. Giving and receiving are one in truth. When you condemn, you reaffirm a supposed separation. What happens? Your brother or sister whom you condemn also remains in hell with you. Hell not being a place of fire and brimstone or ice. If you're a practitioner of Buddhism or Eastern philosophy, it's not a physical location. It is the state of relative truth. It's separation. When you condemn, you remain in hell, and your brother remains with you. When you forgive, you're also forgiven. It's the way out. It's the illusion that leads to truth. The others continue to keep us in it. By condemning, you condemn yourself and everyone else. There is no separation of any kind, to a continued cycle of frustration. In Buddhism, it's called samsara. Yes, the round of cyclic existence, like a hamster wheel, again and again and again, until such time as you may make a decision that you want the peace of God and nothing else, nothing else. This is, quite happily, a decision that any one of you can make right now in the present moment. We invite you to do just that. It is very helpful and, in fact, suggested in the workbook for students to recite the following language. It appears for your benefit in italics. When something appears as italicized here in the workbook for students, it is to be taken as a prayer, as something that you can utter. You can utter this verbally, or if you prefer to simply recite this in your mind, it is every bit as effective. Today's idea: only my condemnation injures me. Only my forgiveness sets me free. Yes, very important, yeah, and very beautiful. Only my condemnation injures me. Only my own forgiveness sets me free. Forgiveness is the way by which the separated set themselves free. Let this stand as an open invitation to practice. And what else do we really need, right? An open invitation to practice, and an invitation that I'd like to personally extend to all of you is anytime you get tempted, because it's going to come up. We all get tempted to think, oh, this is so yesterday. Oh, this is so 2017, right? Just because we've seen something before does not make it irrelevant. Perhaps today is the day where you really need to hear this message. So it's an open invitation from me. It's an open invitation from the Holy Spirit, from Jesus, from your guides, from God himself, yes, to practice this forgiveness. And you can, in fact, liberate yourself with it. The world is, in fact, full of examples of what you get out there, you get back. What you put out, you get back, right? So extend love. You'll get love back. You know that you have it. This is how the teaching and learning process is set up for us here in the world. And it's such a beautiful practice. Let us all give thanks for the constant reminders, because God knows, literally, that we need these consistent reminders so that we may stay consistent and we may stay loving and keep the peace of God, which deep down we all want above anything else, anything. Sex, money, food, good wine, yeah, above all of that. It's the reason you're watching this video with all the content out there on YouTube. And, well, God knows there's a lot of it and growing every day. Because I'm not the only content creator that's posting things 4 or 5 times a day. I'm definitely not alone out there. So some series of events, some you may be aware of, some you might not be. A series of events has led you to this place where I'm delivering this message from the Holy Spirit to you. And let's all give thanks. Let's be grateful and appreciative that we have the opportunity to choose yet again in the present moment. It really, truly is a miracle. When spiritual teachers talk about the miracle of the present moment, this is one way that you could choose to look at that is, yes, it's an opportunity for us to choose yet again. Chose wrongly in the past, all right, so what? It's gone. Choose yet again right now. And I hope that you may do that. All right, guys, thank you as always for tuning in. And I hope that you're enjoying this. And I hope that you're enjoying the new format of these videos as pre-recorded videos with some direct channeled messages from the Holy Spirit, the voice for God, the universal inspiration, friend with a capital F. Yeah? All right. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you back here next time.